So Halau Holomoana is a program that was started to introduce high school students to careers in the maritime industry, but also giving the students a sense of a deeper connection to traditional sailing, voyaging, and using their cultural background to make them pa'a as kanaka, Hawaiian keiki, and then being able to take that and go and work in the maritime industry.
We just wanted to kind of cast a wide net and see who we would get. And in the first year, we got 15 applications and we needed 15 students, so we took them all.
I'm Keikilani Hussey, I'm 18 years old and I'm from Manamana.
My name is Kalahi Keola Adrian Tauhere Hein Boyd. I am 18 years old and I am from Palolo.
Aloha, my name is Duke Christopher Vai'o Keola Kotevis. I am 18 years old and I live in Kaneohe, Oahu.
I'm Jordan Vargas, 16, and I'm from Kapalama, Oahu.
Aloha, o luka nani ko'olau ke ola mamo nai ole ko ui noa. Umikuma hiku o umakahiki a no kahalu'u Oahu mai au.
Hi, my name's Jethro Ross. I'm 18 years old and I'm from South Africa.
I'm Keikilani Adversalo Clark. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Makiki.
We had a really nice balance of students from public, private, and charter school, which was really nice. They each come with their own strengths.
You go over this one and then under this one. So you're gonna skip a line and then go under.
There was a field trip that I took in first grade to go see Hokulea, and that was the first time I ever seen or been on a va'a. Ever since then, it's always kind of been my dream to do va'a stuff. And then as I got older, I haven't really been in touch with it. And then once I seen this opportunity, I was like, yeah, I need to do it.
I'm kind of at the breaking point of the scale right now where I got to figure out what I need to do for the rest of my life.
When I first heard about Halau Holomoana, I was just kind of I wasn't very interested at all. I wasn't thinking about going to college or anything. I was just going to go into the military.
My plan was to go to the University of Hawaii at Manoa and study marine biology. And then I got into this program and it was just opened my eyes to something completely new.
That it was really a rite of passage for them, and they're becoming of age, going into adulthood. And I think in our society, we've kind of erased a lot of those traditions in our culture about having this kind of rite of passage or going on some type of experience in order to move into the next stage of life.
This is where it all starts. We all start from somewhere. This voyage is just the beginning of something bigger.
I felt like this would just give me that experience to broaden my horizon.
The early training is the basics, so they do a swim test, and then we start teaching them the knots, line handling, orientation to the canoe. They learn nautical charting, and so they get to use a parallel ruler, dividers, and they actually have to use a lot of math skills. And they started to chart their course or where we would be sailing to for the 10-day voyage.
It was something I looked forward to a lot because I had my friends there. We were a really tight group of friends. We were all working toward the same goal to train for this voyage.
Stars that rise north of the equator, set north of the equator. Stars that rise south of the equator, set south of the equator.
They brought in Uncle Chad Paishan from Big Island, and he was with us the whole weekend, and he just blew my mind.
So it's just like this, as you might have the head of the bird, tail of the bird, on these Auschwitz weeks? No? So that you always have direction.
He got to teach them about navigation, about the star compass. He really inspired them.
Manu, Noyo, Manamana, La, Ikina, Noa, Aina, Noyo, Manu.
They really were elevated out of kind of, I think, being juniors and seniors in high school, but really started to see themselves as voyagers and mariners. One of the field trips we do is going down to Honolulu Harbor and going to check out the waterfront and actually being able to see people in action, see the tugboats, the different types of jobs they do.
There's no wires going from the barge almost underwater like this back up to the tug because it's so heavy that they want that. If it was back and forth all the time like this in the heavy channel, the waves, it just snaps.
What does the industry actually look like? What would I look like if I was on that tugboat? And it helps them to start to visualize themselves and then start to dream about what their lives might be like.
In order to be able to know that you want to work on the ocean, you need to be on the ocean for an extended period of time. Away from land, away from your comfort zone.
When we first started to look at the voyage, we thought, okay, where can we go in 10 days?
We chose Papahanaumokuakea or Moku Manamana, not only for its significance to voyaging and to navigation, but also it'll be the first time that these kids will be outside of land.
Papahanaumokuakea National Marine Monument is the largest marine monument in the United States. And it goes from Nihoa all the way to Kure Atoll. So it's over 1,200 nautical miles.
It's actually managed by 7 different agencies. So between NOAA, OHA, the state, it's quite a lengthy process. So it's been 6 months in the making. This is the first time a youth group has been granted permission.
So the route from Kaneohe to Moku Manamana to Kaho'olawe and then back to Kaneohe Bay, that route was chosen to make that connection of going up to our Kukuna Islands where it's very old and pristine, and then bringing Kanaloa or that energy back down to the main Hawaiian Islands to Kaho'olawe, which is also named Kanaloa. And so we're really connecting this kind of ancient oceanic pathway.
To end the voyage at Kaho'olawe is kind of like you've gone through a journey and now you're being reborn into the here and now, and with a greater sense of accomplishment, peace, personal pride, cultural pride.
The whole concept of Halau Holomoana is to not just train them to be mariners, but culturally competent mariners. The teaching the students the chanting, especially in particular to Kanaloa, who is our akua of the sea, the god of the sea.
The protocols and the pule and the spiritual aspect of the voyage allows us, one, to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we're clear of our purpose and of our intent, and the students to be able to engage with the environment and the elements on a higher and deeper level.
All the students came with different levels of, I think, their own awareness, cultural awareness, and their chanting abilities or their cultural connection. I think Kino was interesting because he wasn't as comfortable with the protocol side, and I think he was really finding his own. I think things were going on, and I think he kind of maybe lost sight a little bit of the opportunity that he had in the program.
I graduated from Kaiser High School, and then I decided to move out from my family's homes.
The whole last week of training, he didn't show up at all. And then it was like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Then I got arrested and got into some trouble, and that's where I decided that I wasn't gonna go on the voyage.
All I could think about was if we can just get him on the ship and get him away from all of what was happening, that we would have a chance to, actually let the ocean take care of him.
After a couple days of my mom talking to me and my dad talking to me, I realized that the best thing to do for myself would to go on this voyage.
Are we gonna let him come on the voyage? You know, are we gonna kind of give up on him? And you know, we had to really think about it and talk to our whole leadership team to make a decision. And my one thing is always gonna be, if we don't give this kid a chance, then we'll never really know if it could have made an impact in his life or not. And so after a lot of deliberation on the part of the leadership team, we decided to allow him to come on the trip.
I woke up today not a girl with a dream, but an adult with a purpose.
So the first protocol was actually done on the pier at Hei'eiakea, greeting of the sun, and really starting to get mentally, emotionally, and spiritually prepared for the voyage.
And for me, that was what we were looking for. We were looking for those ho'ailona, those signs, those things, the colors in the sky, the rainbow that was there, the communication from our kupuna that, one, we're on the right path, and that the time is now and it's time to go.
Whatever you was doing before I told you to get up, you're now. Go wrap that up. Your bedding should be put away. Everything should be clean and tidy. Remember, we're sharing spaces.
Once the sun came up and we were still doing last-minute provisioning on the ship, a lot of the family started gathering and getting ready to say the goodbyes. And it was, could see a lot of the parents getting emotional.
Just those nervous feelings were kind of building up in that anticipation. I took a look at everyone's parents on the pier, and I was just thinking about what was going through their minds.
I remember like hugging my family, and they were like crying.
As I said bye to my parents, they both started crying, and then I started crying, and I was sure everyone else was crying. So mainly it was just a real heavy emotional feeling, not really of sadness or happiness, just like significance.
We were really doing something really remarkable, you know, taking these young people on the ocean, on a ship, far away from home. And I started to kind of realize the immensity, I guess, of the responsibility, especially when you're looking at the parents.
We're finally leaving. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So stoked.
I can't wait to get off this rock.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
It felt good to leave what I know so well and to go out into something that is totally not so much foreign because I'd been training for it, but something that I'd never done before and something that I knew was going to have a huge impact on me. I remember looking at Oahu and just sailing away from it and being like, I'm not leaving this island on an airplane, I'm leaving this island on a sailboat. And I'm going for a really long time.
As soon as we bring this in, do you guys see how we're funneling the wind against the front of that next sail, the main staysail?
If Halau Holomoana is designed to help the students work in the maritime industry, then when we're sailing, it would just make sense for them to be the ones to do the work.
It's all hands on deck, and the students are just listening to all the directions and orders being given by the crew.
It was funny how much they trusted us, because I didn't even know if I trusted myself that much. But with them trusting us, it made me feel better, like, oh, okay, if they trust me, then I must be equipped enough to do whatever they're asking for me.
So you just want to keep going straight into the wind like that. Perfect.
They were immediately on board a working ship. I mean, everything that we needed to do to get us to our destination was all fueled by every single person on board. All the students were crew members. You know, they weren't students anymore, they were crew. And in order to get the ship moving, everyone had to participate in that.
It was an awesome thing to see the kids doing the work.
So it's a 3-watch system. So they're named A, B, and C watch. The students were assigned to the different watches. That's so that 24 hours the ship is moving and the ship is being manned. The students are responsible during their watch to get us from one point to the next point, and everything that happens in between there. So they're adjusting the sails, they're steering the ship, they're monitoring our progress on the nautical chart, and then they were also using the GPS plotter, doing boat checks, making sure everybody's safe down below while the others are sleeping and off watch.
There are always people down sleeping. There are always people up doing their job. And there are always people just like relaxing and enjoying. And like you were at all 3 of those places every day.
So they basically, just like how they would experience in any professional maritime career, they carried out all those duties on the Makani'olu.
Kupuna. They are everywhere. In the sky, the sea, in the air I breathe. They influence my every decision without me even knowing.
When we got up that morning, I think we woke everybody up, and I said to everybody on Makani'olu that from that point forward, we would do all of our protocols together every morning and every evening when the sun came up and when the sun set.
Rainbows are really significant, especially to our Makali'i voyaging ohana, because when Makali'i was launched, there were 2 double rainbows that appeared over her. And so we always look for the rainbows kind of as a sign, or it's the presence of our kupuna. And so the 2 rainbows in the morning, for us as the leadership, Keli'i, myself, and Pua, we really were comforted by that, to know that, okay, we're on the right course here, you know, it's gonna be okay. So yeah, by the second day, and then of course as the days went on, each person started to find kind of their comfortable spot, what they wanted to do, what they were good at. Hina, almost every time I think I went back aft, you know, one of the memories I have is of her steering. Same with Kala, and they're always kind of steering and then not looking forward, which you would think, you know, naturally they should be looking forward, but they're always looking to the side. Because they got really good at steering by the swell. Guile, he always liked to steer inside the wheelhouse, so he could keep his eye on the GPS plotter. Of course, Kino was always back tending the fishing lines. I think he stayed up all day, even when it wasn't his watch, just so he could tend to the fishing line.
It was awesome. I was so happy to like catch some fish, because like there's nothing on Oahu.
So when you guys malama the fish, everything has to be mayao. Yeah, that's how our kupuna are, very clean. Because now the fish has sacrificed itself for us. Now it's food. It's gonna take care of us and nourish us. Everything has to be clean. So what's really unique is that we were able to blend traditional navigation and modern navigation. We immediately started working with the ship's crew and then also with the students of holding their course line using the natural elements. So swell direction is really important. And then also Captain Emma was able to share with some of the students using the sextant, which is of course a tool used to navigate with an instrument. They were exposed to this wide variety of ways of navigation. Course line was very important. We knew that we had a lot of miles to cover, and we needed to stay on our course line in order to make it to all our destinations and get home in the time that we had.
Auntie Pua taught us like what to look out for when you want to use the swells to navigate. You put your hand out like this and you move across, you pan across. It helps you like try and stabilize and make a mark on a swell that's coming, and you want to see what part of the ship that the swell hits first. So you always know if you're in that direction, you want to keep in that direction, you want to keep that swell hitting the same spot.
When we moved into the realm past Kauai and Nihoa, we knew that we had to make an offering. Part of what we needed to do was watch.
Right before sunset, there was another kahili rainbow, one that it's just like a straight shaft, straight up and down rainbow appeared on the port side, and that was kind of like a sign that we were leaving what was familiar to us, and we were about to enter kind of a new space. And you know, if you looked on the chart, that was when we were kind of leaving Hawaii, you know, the main Hawaiian islands, and we were kind of leaving that water, which is familiar, and entering into a new space. And that's where we gave our ho'okupu that we had prepared for the voyage.
The offering was accepted, and that everything that we had asked for up until that point from Kanaloa, that we would receive it, that we did receive it, we would receive it, and that it would come. And the things that we needed in order to make that journey successful on a spiritual level would happen.
Immediately, as soon as it got dark, and you know, after watching the sunset and talking to them about, you know, that was really our course line, as the stars started to come up, started to teach them how to steer by the stars, how to identify the stars, and to really start to use them as the guides.
Once I was like steering using the stars and not looking at the compass, I had like the biggest smile on my face like the whole time. I probably was like a crazy person because I was just like, yeah, like I was so happy.
The night that we approached Nihoa, I had a dream of Nihoa, and there were clouds above it, and there were these two rainbows.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, guys, stand by to drive. Okay, now you guys.
I remember it was actually pre-dawn, and we knew we were getting close to Nihoa, and I think Kaimana had come out of the wheelhouse, and he's like, I see it! And I was like, what? No, we're all waiting to who's gonna see the island first, and it was Kaimana. And as the light came up and we could see the island, and we were getting closer, you know, it was kind of like shrouded in this rain cloud.
It was like this huge curtain covered the island, curtain of rain. And so we saw it, and then we didn't see it, but we knew it was there. And then there was a huge rainbow, and then that one rainbow became two rainbows.
Everyone just got really quiet and just kind of, you know, in reverence to the island and what they were witnessing, and really starting to feel like we were in a very different space.
I didn't know if I was still dreaming when I saw that. And sure enough, it was all real. I knew it was something like really special. Like it wasn't just a coincidence that I dreamt that and then I saw it the very next morning.
We got to go pretty close, and it was just crazy, like seeing it, because I've just like always dreamed about seeing it, and like to actually see it in front of my eyes, I was just like completely in shock and just in awe.
I think throughout the whole trip, we had opportunities to teach and look at, and not just teach the students. I think the coolest thing was that we, even as the adults, we had the opportunity to relearn and brush up on our understanding of those things too.
Every hour we do a boat check, and part of that boat check is doing the log and making sure we're staying on point or on course with the correct heading.
Students started to take to different aspects of the voyage, whether it was steering or doing the lookout or watching the sail repair. I think on maybe the third or fourth day, we had a tear in one of the sails, and so we had to bring that down, and they learned how to mend the sail. And so just different aspects. It's like a whole little village, and everyone has to find their place and how they can lend their efforts and talents. And eventually, over the course, it just starts to get really seamless, and everything just kind of happens. So, part of every watch is to prepare the meals, of course, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so, Kino started to, of course, with the fishing, then he wanted to prepare the fish. And that was kind of, I think, his introduction into spending a lot of time in the galley.
If your watch is during lunch or dinner, you're cooking. And I was cooking regardless of whether it was my watch or not.
It worked out perfectly because he got to do the cooking and I would take all of his duties on the helm.
Every time Kino's crew had to cook the meal, it seemed like the meals were 10 times better than any of the other crew's meals.
And it was just awesome to see how excited he got about serving the food.
I was pretty happy. I love getting good reactions from people when I cook.
The kupuna were right next to us. They were smiling down on us. We had lived their dream.
The morning on the fourth day, we awoke to Moku Manamana.
I remember getting a little nervous, but I was also so excited because we had worked so hard. The kids and everybody worked really hard to get to that point and get to that place.
So as we approached the island, of course the birds come first, and they were all over the ship and just soaring everywhere, and everyone was excited.
As we approached the island, I remember the kids being really excited. I felt like I had to be quiet and just kind of be in a place where, a place of reverence, especially because of the significance of Moku Manamana and what the island is and what it was used for.
And then this pod of dolphins came in and kind of escorted us to the island. And of course, dolphins are Kinolau of Kanaloa. And so just kind of that leading us into the island was very comforting.
I felt like it was Kanaloa welcoming us in. I felt like everything that I've been taught up to that point, it just all came to life.
But the islands there, they're just so wild, they're wild and they're pristine and they're natural and they're in their place how they should be. Man has done little to kind of mess with them. And I think we started to feel collectively that we were part of that cycle and that we were being allowed into this area to experience that.
So when we anchored at Moku Manamana, we took a few minutes to just sit there and look at it and take it all in. The island just had this sort of resonating energy towards us. And it was like we didn't even need to be told to be silent. We were just kind of humbled by it.
I looked up and you could see the navigational platforms, and they almost to me kind of just looked like like people just like watching us or like waiting for us to come. Even though we were like in the middle of the ocean, you couldn't help but feel like at home. You just felt surrounded by like all your kupuna.
One of the main goals of being up at Moku Manamana at that time was to honor the sun, and because it was the summer solstice when the sun was actually at that place, we prepared for our protocol, our ceremony. We all wore malo and a kihei and a kikepa, and so everyone was everyone on the whole ship kind of came together to participate in that.
To really allow all of us to be even deeper and further in the spiritual space that we needed to, the realm of the akua. And it was beautiful because I think being there and having that ceremony allowed the students and even us as adults to release things that we needed to and want to release.
We got settled and then we gathered together kind of as the first time since we had left Kaneohe. We did a check-in and asked everyone to start sharing a little bit, and just the environment and in being there, it was very emotional. It was heavy in the sense of the accomplishment of like our first huge goal together.
I think being at Moku Manamana, it was like the point that we wanted to get to. It was our goal. And so we had gotten there, we'd all successfully gotten there together as a team, and now it was time to share with everyone what we were feeling. And I feel like no one held back.
Coming on this voyage, I didn't know what to expect. I guess coming here, it's like I kind of found myself. I found a connection with my kupuna that I never had before.
I say mahalo to all of you, to you as Hamana. I say mahalo to my kupuna, our kupuna, my aumakua.
I feel like I don't want to leave. I feel so at peace right now, like I never have before.
It's super peaceful for me. I know that I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world right now.
Each of you that are here are so amazingly beautiful. And behind you are standing 400,000 of your ancestors, the kupuna, with you right here. And they're so proud of you.
I have tears of joy. I'm super stoked. I feel connected. I feel important. I feel significant as a Hawaiian.
And so as we started to share and go around the circle, it got really emotional, and everyone was able to share kind of different aspects of their life that they were processing and feeling and going through.
Because of Auntie Bonnie's dream, we're all here. Because of one dream, it's gonna change all of our lives. Without a kupuna leading us to Moku Manamana, none of this would have happened.
I almost didn't come because of negative choices that I've been making in my life that have been affecting my family and all the people around me. And this has given me so much time to just think about my choices and realize that all the people who care about me and are there for me.
He talked about how it impacted his family and all the ones he loved. And then I saw Kino's dad, while he's holding the camera in front of his face, he started crying, and it was a really emotional father-son moment. And I saw that, and I thought about how much I love my dad and my family, and it was just, and then I started breaking down crying, and Hino was on my right, and we kind of like binded together, and it was just so heavy, like it just hit me.
from the day one you guys came, we said, how did we find all these kids? Because we knew already there was something special about you guys. To get to this point here and to know that what I'm doing is the right thing. And the dream is not my dream. I'm just fulfilling the dreamers before mine. Now it's your guys' time. You may not all become professional mariners, but you'll never forget how to be a Kanaka.
In general, I mean, I've been working with youth for a long time, and I was just really blown away by every single one of them, and how in just, not even 4 days, they were able to express so much and really feel safe about expressing it. I think in that environment is really remarkable.
Once everyone was finished, I think everybody felt like they were just that much closer to everybody, and everybody went around and gave each other hugs one by one. It was really nice.
That was one of the moments that helped everybody on the trip to solidify relationships, especially for the Haumana, that will be relationships that'll be lasting, that'll last forever.
Being there for a couple hours, doing our protocol, properly introducing ourselves to the place and connecting, as the day kind of went on, kind of thought, okay, let's go check out the water. It's about going so far and then being able to, okay, let's get in the water and really feel that energy.
We took out these dinghies out to this little snorkel spot, and Jordan was holding out his GoPro getting footage of Moku Manamana and everything, and the birds came down to our boat. They don't see humans often at all. These birds are swarming to us, what are they doing? What are these things? So it was really cool. They're so curious. And then we got into the water, and the water just seemed really crystal clear and pure and undisturbed.
The water was just a deep, deep blue, and it caught all the sun rays as it went down to the bottom of the ocean, and it was just, I got to watch all my classmates, Tehani dove down all the way to the bottom. She went all the way to the bottom, and it was a pretty awesome thing to see.
All the fishes, they just come up to your face, and a fish swam into my leg. They're not even shaved.
Sunset there was amazing. We had been following the sun for 3 days, and then we're there kind of where the sun is, and then as the sun went down, and just the colors, and then seeing how the natural pulse of the island is in tune with the environment, and then all the birds are coming out and kind of doing their last surveys of the sky before they go in back to the island at night. Just to be kind of part of that rhythm was an amazing experience.
Before, it was only a vision I had, but now I am living the vision.
Waking up to Moku Manamana in the morning was amazing, and just where the ship was anchored, and the sun just came right up through this kind of little crevice in the cliff, and it was just amazing. And then you start to see again that pulse of nature, the birds waking up and the ocean starting to get animated in the light, and just it's just nature at its most finest moments, you know, and being able to witness that and to share that experience with everyone on board. And then also knowing that, you know, in an hour we were going to be getting ready to leave, and that our experience with Moku Manamana would be over. You know, as we lifted the anchor and we're starting to go off, you know, the dolphins came again that had greeted us the day prior, you know, and now they're following us off as we leave Moku Manamana. It's hard to leave something that you've planned for so long. It's really it's an emotional time because you don't want to leave, but yet you're excited for the next destination. And now, whereas the first 3 days, 4 days of the journey was kind of downwind, now we're heading upwind, and so it's a hard sail. We start just pounding into the waves, into the swells, and I think everyone kind of realized, okay, we're back at this, and now it's going to be hard.
The ride back was painful, and like the boat was for days, just up and down, side to side. It was never calm.
Are we gonna make it to Kaho'olawe? Are we even gonna have enough time to get there? As the days went on, it was looking like we weren't going to be able to get there. The winds weren't really cooperating, the conditions weren't cooperating so much. Having watch and being the crew to steer the boat, you assume a bigger responsibility, way more so than on the way to Moku Manamana, because you have a time constraint, the conditions aren't working out, and you have to do everything you can to push this boat to Kaho'olawe as quick as possible.
We didn't even know if we were going to actually make it to Kaho'olawe because of the mileage we had to cover and what the wind was doing. The wind was right on our nose, so we didn't even know if we were going to get there. I think there was still a few that still weren't feeling so well, and of course now we're pounding back into the swell, so you know, trying to keep everyone focused was really important, because now we're going through, you know, another 4 or 5 days of just our 24-hour sailing. Everyone's working back into our shifts, and so keeping everyone focused was really important at that stage, because it's hard. It's not easy by all means, you know, to live in a confined environment, you know, with that many people for that long of time. So halfway through the voyage, then the students are really getting familiar with the vessel and with their responsibilities. And so now when, you know, a command comes from the captain to adjust the sail or to change course, they know what they're doing already. They know which line they're moving towards. And so it's really, really neat to start to see some of them really take ownership of, okay, if we're gonna adjust the jibs, then I know exactly what I have to do. And so they really started to get familiar and to be very competent on the ship.
After I left Moku Manamana, I felt sort of more like a sailor. Like it was only, like 3 or 4 days that I'd been at sea, but I felt so much more experienced. I felt more confident in myself and my crew and the rest of the crew, but there was definitely more pressure. So it sort of made it a little harder, but at the same time, I knew what I was doing.
Be there when it's time See there everything you want. The way I see it, we're all together whenever we want. Be here when it's time to be here. Want you to see here everything you want. The way I see it, we're all together whenever we want.
This voyage has enabled me to slow down and focus on the journey instead of only thinking of the destination.
Day 9 sunrise, we basically, as the sun's coming up, we woke up to Kaho'olawe, just off the bow. Another really introspective and quiet time, I think. Everyone kind of gathered on the bow, and then we did our morning protocol together and kind of preparation for the day.
I knew that going into Ho'olawe means the end, or the end of our journey. And I was really apprehensive because I didn't want to go on land, if that makes sense. I didn't want to lose any connections I've made.
We got there, it was early morning, and the way Kaho'olawe looked to me, it was very dry and barren, but I knew the significance behind it. So to me, it was beautiful.
So it would be our first interaction with people other than ourselves, you know, for 9 days. We get in the water and then we're swimming to shore, and in everyone's excitement, you know, again, we have to, you know, our goal is to keep everyone focused.
We had to swim in a straight line. We couldn't swim away from each other. We had to stay in this line because we're all doing this thing together.
Everyone stay and swim together. And then when we got to the beach, then, you know, it's the same thing. Everyone's together. We enter the island as a crew.
We got to shore and we did our greeting chant to the people at Kirk. I feel like they were a little blown away. We'd never seen a stranger in the past 9 days. It was weird, but they were really welcoming. Just like the dolphins and the birds at Moku Manamana. They respected us and we respected them.
So as we walk down, it's very difficult with this outside distraction, but I know that we're ready for this. So as we walk, every step we take to Kealikahiki, just focus and shed all of those things behind you at each footstep. We tied upon everyone a bracelet made of the Hau cordage. And that was to kind of signify our, kind of like the end, but also the beginning of their next voyage in their lives. And so, you know, we still are connected, and that the experience will always connect us as a crew. And then now it's time to kind of venture forth into our lives as individuals. If we're gonna stay here, then we need to go to Mo'ulaiki, which is where the navigator's chair is and the bellstone. And so we piled up on these, you know, military work trucks, and we made our way up to the mountain. It goes back to Mao and his desire to have a star compass up on Mo'ulaiki. So Keli'i has our ho'okupu, and he's the first, and we're kind of walking up this path, narrow pathway, so we're all kind of single file. Off on the side, from this kind of ravine that goes down, we see this pueo come up, and then it starts to like circle by him. And then at one point, this pueo just kind of looks at him dead on, and they kind of have this brief interaction.
I just remember locking eyes with it, and I felt like it was staring right through to my soul, and it was probably one of the most sacred moments, not only of the trip, but my entire life.
It was just like another validation to what we were doing. Up on the top there at Mo'aulaiki, there's like a stone formation that they call the Navigator's Chair, and it overlooks Maui and Lanai, Molokai. If you were up here to study the sky and the ocean below, you know, what kinds of things could you learn from observing there? I actually remember Gaio looking down, saying, you know, that he was looking down at Makena, saying that that's his beach. It's the beach where he goes to every weekend, and him making that connection back to home, but from a different perspective of sailing to Kaho'olawe, I thought was really neat. So now here we are off on our last leg of the voyage, you know, a couple 100 miles to go, and again, trying to keep everyone focused, and knowing it's the end, and preparing for that release, and to be leaving each other's company.
I saw each and every one of my makani olu ohana take their mana to travel the path of righteousness. We have grown into the people our kupuna wanted us to be.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's ending, but I was so excited to see my family because I just wanted to tell them like everything.
I'm super stoked that I was able to be a part of something greater than myself, so I can bring it back home for my family and friends for the future.
I felt different. I felt different in a good way. I felt like the trip changed me. I felt like I could love more. Like I could love my parents more. I could love everything that I used to love even more.
I definitely look at the world differently now.
Every single one of the students that were on that voyage are all doing something forward with their lives. Just to see how much of an impact it can make on people's lives. If we can continue to do this, you know, even if, you know, it saves, or even if it just helps one person to do something in their life that maybe they wouldn't have done if they didn't have that experience, then, you know, that's priceless.
My name is Kino Eduardo Carrillo. I'm a first-year student at Le Cordon Bleu, Portland, Oregon, and I'm studying for my associate's degree in culinary. I wake up around 10 a.m. I go to school here from 10:30 to about 2:30 every single Monday through Friday. Then after I get out of school at 2:30, I work at the tap room at the Moda Center, which is where the Portland Trailblazers professional NBA team plays. I'm working the cold station, which means I make all of the salads. Before the voyage, I kind of felt like I didn't really have any direction that I was heading. I was just kind of going downwards. But now I actually feel like I'm doing something with my life and progressing.
My name is Tina Keala. I'm from Mana'e Molokai. I'm a sophomore at UH Manoa, and I'm double majoring in Hawaiian Studies and Marine Biology. This upcoming semester I'll be taking lots of science, biology, chemistry, and at the same time my Hawaiian language and also ho'okele, which is Hawaiian navigation. Since the voyage ended, I couldn't stay away from the ba'a, so I made my way down to Polynesian Voyaging Society, and I've been crew training, and currently I'm finishing up my Advanced 3 class. On the voyage, we were asked to write a journal, and now every single time I look at that journal, I just think of my purpose. I realized what I think I'm meant to do. I know I had a passion for the ocean and for my culture, but since the voyage, it's made really clear about how precious of a resource our kupuna and the ocean are. And I think it's about time we step up and start taking care of what's been taking care of us for these thousands of years.
My name is Guile McGurn. I'm from Makawao, Maui. I'm a freshman at the California Maritime Academy, and I'm studying to be a captain of a container ship. Life at Cal Maritime is a lot different from any other university you've probably heard of. Right now I live on a ship. I don't know who else can say that. The vibe is sort of, everyone's the same in that we're all part of the maritime industry. In my major anyway, we have deck labs, which are your more hands-on classes like marlin spike, which is knot tying, or small craft operations, which is operating small craft boats. And then we have your regular classroom courses such as macroeconomics and math and your like general ed courses. Halau Holomoana changed my life because it opened up my eyes to the maritime industry, which is something that I never really looked into before at all. The voyage obviously changed my life. That was probably a peak experience of my life. Since I made a bond with Kanaloa on the voyage, I've felt like he's been with me ever since then, and he'll always be with me.
Somewhere beyond the blue horizon, there is an island waiting for you. And as you drift closer to her shoreline, you can hear her calling you, sweet and clear. Sailors of fortune, sailors of fame, sailors of destiny, it's all one and the same. And each day the dream gets more and more exciting. It's just as strong as you can be.